Hey everyone. In this video, I want to talk to you about how if someone doesn't like you for who you are now, you shouldn't feel the need to change yourself to make them like you more. The problem here is that we should all strive to choose people who also choose us. When you start changing yourself to make people like you more, you end up becoming someone that you may not necessarily be. You're basically being inauthentic to please other people. And this creates a multitude of problems. One, it can make them actually lose respect for you in an ironic way because they're realizing that they have power over you, that you like them enough, that you're literally willing to change aspects of your personality to buy their approval and validation. That's huge. Even if they don't consciously realize it, this ends up happening quite often, especially with people who are more insecure or needy. They'll end up changing themselves to make their partner like them, but that neediness, that desire to gain their partner's approval by changing themselves, ends up making their partner lose respect for them. So that's really tricky. But another problem with this is that quite often, if you're in a relationship or you're just dating someone and you're trying to make them like you more by changing yourself, then even if they do end up liking you after you've changed, it's kind of proven that they didn't actually really like you for who you are. They liked this idealized version of you that they had in their mind, and they're trying to make you match that, which means that they don't actually love or like the real you. They like this idealized version of you. And that's not a great place to be. I understand that love is a very tricky thing, and most people, I can't even really say this, but it feels like most people aren't quite capable of loving someone for who they are and accepting them, flaws and everything. But that's ideally what you should look for and try to get as close to that ideal as possible, even if it is a bit rare. Now, I wouldn't say you should hold out for it because then you might be holding out for a very long time because the people who are like that are going to be very rare. But you should strive to get as close to that mark as possible. So strive to find someone who likes as many aspects and as many flaws of you as possible without wanting to make you change drastically. Because as soon as you find someone who wants to change you drastically and you start basically buying into that, they don't actually like you, and you need to realize that. I mean, sure, they might have fun with you and all that, but they want you to be this way when you're like this. So they like this version of you over here, which isn't actually you. You're over here. They want you to be like this, and that's what they like. So do you get what I'm saying? They don't actually like the real you. And that's a really unfortunate thing. There's a disconnect there. And I wouldn't say you should go for people who want to change you that much for that reason, because there's just something weird about, in a way, I want to use the word settling because it feels like settling. If you choose someone who doesn't quite like you for who you are, I feel like that's a bit of settling, but I understand that I can't quite say that. But for lack of a better word, it feels like that's settling. You're basically choosing someone who isn't completely choosing you because they're choosing this false version of you, this version of you that isn't actually real. They want you to become that, but that's not actually you. Now, I'm not saying you should never change yourself. Of course, always be striving to grow and become a better version of you. I'm just saying that when people really want to change you and they want you to change in order to buy their approval or their love even, that just seems like such a high price to pay in order to get their approval, especially if you're already a good person. If you're already a good person, why the hell should you need to change for them? Are they that special themselves? Here's another thing. If somebody really wants you to change that much, you better be analyzing them. Are they worth that? Are they even great themselves? Because if they want you to change like that, I'm willing to bet they may not be the best person out there. Why? Because those kinds of people are going to accept you for who you are. They're going to like you for who you are. You're going to vibe on that level. They're not going to want to change you because, one, they're going to understand that you can't change anyone. People change of their own accord. And you can't force anyone to change unless they're really insecure and really needy and they really like you and they want to gain your approval. But that's an unhealthy thing, again, because that neediness is a problem. It needs to be fixed. Neediness kills relationships. And yet again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about even if you do change, they're going to lose respect for you over it. So this is just a really tricky concept, and that's why I'm making a video about it, because I just don't feel like it's worth it to ever change yourself that drastically for other people. Now, of course, if you want to become a better person, you want to grow and change yourself in that way, do that, of course, but do it for yourself. Don't do it for other people. Don't do it because you met some great guy and he wants you to change, or because you met some great woman and she wants you to change. Because, like I said, if they want you to change like that, they may not be all that great. Just always analyze the person who is telling you these things, who wants you to change, because that's just such a weird thing. You see, in my case, if I was dating a wonderful woman, I would accept her for who she was. And if I wanted her to change at all, it wouldn't be in ways that would make me like her. It would be in ways that I would make her life better. So I wouldn't actually, my wanting her to change wouldn't have any connection to how much I liked or loved her. I would basically want to see her become as great of a person as possible for herself. But if she didn't end up achieving that, I wouldn't like her less or love her any less. It's more of a situation where you want what's best for them, but that's not a criteria for your love or your approval of them. That's the way things should be. That's the way they are in healthy relationships. You should never feel the need to change yourself so drastically to make people like you. It's not a good place to be, because why do you need to change that much for them to like you? Unless you're a bad person, but I'm willing to bet you're not. So do you really need to change that much for other people? I would wager that you don't. So anyway, I hope this video helped you, and I hope to see you guys again in the next one. Arrivederci!